Elderly customers froze in the pharmacy aisle when Officer Jason Turner slammed an old woman's mobility walker against a shelf. Metal clattered, pill bottles fell, and the store went silent. "Quit pretending you can't walk," he barked. "Stand up and come with me. Now." The woman, Mrs. Margaret Hill, 73 years old, very dark complexion, small, frail, blue floral dress, gray knitted shawl, trembling hands, stared up at him with stunned confusion. "I told you, I'm diabetic," she whispered. "I just came to pick up my insulin." Officer Turner leaned down, inches from her face. "That's exactly why you're under arrest. Prescription fraud." A soft gasp rippled through the aisle. Customers watched. No camera phones. No recording. Just human eyes witnessing cruelty. Margaret's fingers trembled as she gripped her walker. Her voice was small but steady. "I have never stolen anything in my life." Turner smirked. "After today, we'll see if that's still true." No one knew that one sentence from this little woman, spoken later, would destroy his entire career. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's video, we want to thank you for your support, love, and kindness. We wouldn't have come this far without you. Subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue to bring you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. Turner grabbed the walker and yanked it away. Margaret nearly lost her balance. A young pharmacy tech rushed forward. "Sir, she's a regular patient. She's not doing anything wrong." "Back off," Turner barked. "This woman is faking illness. She has a history." Margaret blinked, confused. "What history? I've never seen you before." Turner spoke loud enough for the store to hear. "You people always try something. Stealing medication, lying about prescriptions. Not today." A middle-aged man in line muttered, "Leave her alone. She's obviously sick." Turner's voice grew colder. "You want to be arrested too?" Margaret swallowed hard. Her knees shook. "I don't want trouble. I just need my medication before my sugar drops." Turner handcuffed her, metal on fragile wrists. A small cry escaped her lips. A heavy silence filled the store. Margaret's daughter, Elaine Hill, burst through the automatic doors. She was 45, dark complexion, nurse uniform, badly tired from a hospital shift, still wearing her ID badge. "Mama!" Elaine dropped her purse and ran. "What are you doing to my mother?" Turner blocked her. "She's under arrest." "Step back," Margaret whispered. "Elaine!" "He thinks I'm stealing." Elaine looked at her mother's trembling body, then back at the officer. She worked for this community for 30 years. She paid for that prescription. "Look." She opened Margaret's purse. Receipts, insurance card, payment slip. Everything was legal. Turner didn't care. "Forgery," he said. Elaine's voice cracked. "You didn't even look." People gathered. Elderly customers, a father with his daughter, a pharmacist, a delivery driver. No cameras, no phones out, only human beings watching. The pharmacist stepped forward, voice trembling. "Officer, we know Ms. Hill. She served on the neighborhood council. She volunteers at the shelter. She's diabetic. She needs insulin." Turner's jaw tightened. "I don't care who she is." Margaret swayed on her feet. Elaine held her arm. "She hasn't eaten today." Turner pulled Margaret away. "Then jail food will be her first meal." A collective gasp. One woman started crying. Margaret whispered, "Please, I feel dizzy." Turner shoved her into a store chair while he wrote paperwork. She sat handcuffed, head bowed. She looked so small. Elaine knelt beside her, tears falling. "Mama," breathed. "I'm here." Margaret tried to speak, but her voice was fading. "My sugar, it's dropping." The pharmacist rushed to get juice. Turner blocked him. No medical assistance for detainees without facility approval. Elaine snapped, "You're going to kill her." Turner stared at Margaret with cold detachment. "If she collapses, she collapses. Not my problem." A teenage boy whispered to his mother, "Why is he treating her like that?" Margaret's breathing grew shallow. Her hands shivered. Someone prayed under their breath. No media, no cameras, just witnesses. Every heart breaking. Elaine was shaking. She had worked double shifts at the hospital all week. Her husband, Bernard, was home recovering from surgery. She was exhausted. "I promised Dad I'd take care of her," she whispered. Margaret lifted her cuffed hands an inch. "You have taken care of me all my life, my baby. You're a good daughter." Elaine broke into tears. "Mama, I can't lose you too." Margaret smiled faintly. "You won't. God sees everything." Behind them, customers nodded. A frail elderly man whispered, "Evil never wins." Turner glared. "Everybody mind your own business." Margaret slowly lifted her head. Her eyes sharpened. Her voice cut through the silence. "Officer, what you are doing to me now is the same thing you did to your mother before she died." The pharmacy froze. Even Turner stopped writing. His face turned white. Elaine stared. How would she know that? Margaret added softly, "She was in the nursing home with me. She told me everything." Turner's posture collapsed. His lips trembled. Margaret continued, "She told me the worst pain she ever felt was not sickness, but your shame of her." Pin dropped silence. Turner whispered, "No." Margaret nodded slowly. "I promised your mother I would say it to your face. She knew I would meet you one day." Turner staggered back a step. Witnesses watched. No recording. No cameras. Just truth. Margaret finished. "You never visited her the way a son should, and now you take your guilt out on strangers." Turner's eyes filled with tears. Everyone in the pharmacy saw it. That was the moment his entire career began to unravel. Police station follow-up. The police station was unusually quiet for a weekday morning. Detective James Reed, tall, calm-eyed, known for being methodical, walked into the booking area with a steaming coffee. He was halfway through a sip when he froze. At the fingerprinting table sat Mrs. Evelyn Carter, silver-haired, 72 years old, wearing her floral blouse and cardigan, hands folded neatly, expression calm. The arresting officer stood next to her, puffed up with pride. Officer Blake Simmons. He was laughing with the desk sergeant. "Caught her trying to steal medication," he said loudly. "Old lady tried to walk out like she owned the damn place." Mrs. Carter didn't speak. She just watched, quiet, observing. Detective Reed stepped closer, frowning. "Why is she here? Who authorized an arrest?" Simmons shrugged, arrogant. "Me? She refused to show ID. Got aggressive." Mrs. Carter looked up and spoke softly. "Officer, I asked you to wait. I told you I felt dizzy. I told you I couldn't breathe." Her voice was steady. No anger, just truth. Reed's eyebrows pinched. He noticed her hands trembling slightly. Detective Reed pulled Simmons aside. "You arrested a 72-year-old woman for refusing ID? Did you check for medical alert bracelets? Did you ask for a prescription?" Simmons smirked. She was disrespectful. "I'm not letting some old..." Reed cut him off sharply. "Watch your mouth." Simmons scoffed and walked away. Reed returned to Mrs. Carter. "Ma'am, do you need a doctor?" Her voice was still soft. "I told him I was diabetic." The room went still. The sergeant turned slowly toward Simmons. Simmons swallowed. Reed's voice darkened. "You ignored a medical emergency?" Mrs. Carter reached into her handbag, which had been taken from her during the arrest, and removed a folded, old, faded photograph. She passed it to Reed with steady fingers. Reed opened it. His eyes widened. It was Mrs. Carter, much younger, standing beside a row of men and women in military uniform. At the bottom, handwritten, "United States Army Nursing Corps, 1969, Angel of Vietnam." Reed stared at her. "You served?" She nodded. "I spent 20 years in the Army. I have buried friends. I have held dying soldiers in my arms. And today I was treated like a criminal for asking the pharmacist to slow down while I caught my breath." The room went silent. Simmons' face drained. Under Reed's order, the booking process stopped immediately. He escorted her to a chair. He brought water. He spoke gently. "Ma'am, I'm deeply sorry. We'll fix this." Simmons stepped forward, defensive. She resisted, and she refused ID. Mrs. Carter finally turned to him. Her eyes were steady, calm. She spoke one sentence, clear enough for everyone to hear. "Officer, I am the widow of Chief Justice Robert Carter." Every jaw dropped. The name was legendary. A Supreme Court justice, a man whose decisions shape civil rights law. Simmons stuttered. "W, what does that have to do with?" The sergeant cut him. "Everything, you idiot." Phone started ringing. Fast. Within minutes, the district attorney was on speaker. "Release her immediately, and someone better get ready for a lawsuit." Simmons deflated. His authority evaporated. Everyone watched him. Whispers flooded the room. The mighty officer who mocked an old woman crumbled. Mrs. Carter stood, graceful. She looked at Simmons with no hatred, only truth. "Young man, a badge is not a shield for cruelty." Simmons swallowed hard. No answer. The DA's voice echoed through the phone. "Officer Simmons is suspended. Effective now. We are reviewing body cam and surveillance. Expect charges." Simmons' knees buckled slightly. He grabbed the desk to steady himself. Humiliation. Shame. Everyone saw it. Mrs. Carter turned to leave. Detective Reed walked beside her, escorting her respectfully to the door. "Ma'am, can we drive you home?" She shook her head. "No need. My driver's outside." A black town car waited at the curb. The driver stepped out quickly, opened the door, and bowed his head. Mrs. Carter smiled. As she entered the car, she looked back through the open door of the station. Simmons stood frozen. Her final words floated across the air, soft but unforgettable. "Be careful how you treat people. You never know who they are." The car drove away. Silence swallowed the station. 2 weeks later, a news headline hit every screen. "Officer suspended after wrongful arrest of war veteran and judge's widow." Simmons' career was effectively over. Public apology, investigation, shame, and yet Mrs. Carter never bragged, never shouted. She sat in her garden, watering her flowers, smiling when children walked by. Justice didn't roar. It whispered, quiet, steady, strong. People in New York would repeat her sentence for years. "Be careful how you treat people. You never know who they are." And every officer who heard it stood a little straighter. 2 weeks had passed since Mrs. Evelyn Carter left the precinct in the black town car. The city of New York had not stopped talking. The story had gone viral within hours. Officer Simmons' reckless arrest of a war veteran and widow of a Supreme Court justice. At the Midtown Police Department, the atmosphere was tense. Detective James Reed, methodical, reviewed the case file again. Photos, body cam footage, and witness statements filled the folder. Every detail of the arrest, every look, every action stood against Simmons. Simmons himself sat at a small desk, hands clasped tightly. His uniform no longer carried pride, only weight. He was suspended, facing internal affairs investigation, and the press was already circling like vultures. The whispers followed him down the hallways. "You see her picture? That's who you humiliated," murmured officers to each other. His colleagues avoided eye contact. No one defended him. Meanwhile, Evelyn Carter moved through her Upper West Side apartment quietly. She did not watch the news obsessively. She did not seek revenge. She watered her orchids on the balcony, watched children play in the courtyard, and reflected on the ordeal with measured grace. Her hands, though aged, moved with careful precision, a reminder of decades spent in military service, holding lives in balance. Her daughter, Elaine Hill, called daily. "Mama, how are you holding up?" Margaret's soft voice replied, "I am fine, Elaine. Stronger than ever. You and I know the truth. That is what matters." The media coverage was relentless. Local stations, national news, social media. Headlines screamed, "Officer suspended after wrongful arrest of war veteran and judge's widow. New York police officer humiliates elderly woman. Sparks outrage." But it was the small details, the photos, the video snippets, that ignited the public fury. The images of Evelyn Carter, handcuffed, frail, standing upright with quiet dignity, contrasted sharply with Simmons' angry face, red with arrogance and disbelief. In the mayor's office, emergency meetings convened. Chief of Police Robert Langford faced the press and the city council. He admitted publicly, the arrest of Mrs. Evelyn Carter was a gross violation of policy and ethics. Officer Simmons has been suspended effective immediately. We are reviewing our procedures and will implement stronger protections for citizens, especially the elderly and vulnerable. Back at the precinct, Simmons' phone rang incessantly. Calls from lawyers, the press, family members who had long been proud of his badge. He ignored them all. Nothing could erase the humiliation etched into every corner of the station and into his reputation. Meanwhile, Detective Reed began interviewing witnesses. The pharmacist, the customers in the aisle, and Elaine Hill herself. Every statement reinforced what they already knew. Evelyn Carter had been treated cruelly, unlawfully, and unnecessarily. The pharmacist, a young man named Aaron Mills, said, "She just asked to catch her breath. That's all." Officer Simmons acted like she was committing a felony. Everyone in the store could see it. She didn't resist. She didn't yell. She didn't argue. She just wanted her insulin. A middle-aged woman who had been shopping in the aisle nodded in agreement. It was wrong. We all saw it. And then she said it. The sentence. The one that just shut him down. Elaine Hill testified in the Internal Affairs hearing. Her voice steady but shaking with emotion. "Mama is the most dignified, kind, and honest person I know. And yet, she was handcuffed and treated like a criminal. I will never forget how the officer looked when she said, 'Officer, I am the widow of Chief Justice Robert Carter.'" The investigation moved quickly. Within days, body cam footage confirmed every detail. Simmons' lies about resistance, refusal to identify, and aggressive behavior collapsed under scrutiny. 2 weeks after the arrest, Simmons sat across from the Internal Affairs Board. He was sweating, fidgeting, and pale. The board, a mix of senior detectives and legal advisors, did not flinch. One senior detective, Margaret Lynn, leaned forward. "Officer Simmons, your behavior in the Carter case is unacceptable. You arrested a 72-year-old woman with a verified medical condition. You ignored witnesses and violated multiple department policies. Do you have anything to say?" Simmons stammered. I was just doing my job, following procedure." Lynn's eyes did not soften. "Your job was to protect the public, not terrorize them. Your judgment was clouded by assumptions and bias. That is inexcusable." Another board member spoke. "You have brought shame to this department. You humiliated a decorated veteran and the widow of a Supreme Court justice. Your badge does not make you above the law." Simmons' knees buckled slightly. He could not find words. All he had was silence. The press exploded with news. Officer Jason Simmons faces termination after humiliating elderly veteran. New York Police Department under fire for age and race discrimination. Public protests began outside precincts. Local community leaders spoke out. The story struck a nerve, not only because of Evelyn Carter's age and heroism, but also because it highlighted systemic issues in law enforcement treatment of the elderly and black citizens. At home, Evelyn Carter continued her quiet life. She did not revel in Simmons' downfall. She did not gloat. She tended to her garden. She answered calls from Elaine and friends. She walked slowly along Central Park on a sunny afternoon, a subtle nod to freedom and resilience. Her presence alone carried power. Every time someone saw her walking upright, hand on her cane, a quiet smile, they remembered the sentence she spoke. "Be careful how you treat people. You never know who they are." The day the suspension became public, Simmons attempted to contact the precinct. Emails, phone calls, even in-person visits. No one answered. No one returned his calls. He was a man abandoned by his badge, colleagues, and authority. Detective Reed observed the aftermath quietly. He knew that some lessons only hit hard when experienced personally. Simmons would never forget Evelyn Carter. The name, the face, the one sentence. It had changed everything. Meanwhile, the city of New York talked. Neighbors repeated the story. Children heard the tale from parents. The pharmacy where the arrest occurred became a site of quiet reflection for many. Justice had arrived, not with violence or anger, but with the weight of truth. Evelyn Carter had shown that dignity and wisdom outlast pride and arrogance. Weeks later, a community award ceremony honored her contributions, lifetime service to community and nation. In honor of Evelyn Carter, she accepted quietly, standing with Elaine by her side. The press asked about the incident with Simmons. She smiled gently. Justice isn't loud. It whispers, and it always finds its way. New York had learned something that day. Power without respect is empty. Authority without compassion is hollow. And a single sentence, spoken with truth, could bring down even the most arrogant of men. The city moved on, but the lesson endured. Officer Simmons never returned to the police force. His colleagues remembered. New recruits were taught about the Carter incident in ethics training. The elderly, the vulnerable, and the overlooked were reminded that society has their back. And Evelyn Carter? She continued her life with quiet dignity, watering her garden, walking the streets of New York. A single sentence whispered into the air, echoing to the hearts of everyone who witnessed it. Be careful how you treat people. You never know who they are. The moral was clear, lasting, and indelible. Respect and humanity cannot be overridden by a badge.